Do you have a vision for your marriage? Listen, the reason I encourage couples to have a vision is because marriage is created by God. And anything that's been created by God has a spiritual enemy. Therefore, your marriage will be under attack. We have to remember that the scriptures tell us we do not wrestle with flesh and blood, but with principalities. Those principalities have power to get into our mind. Listen, we are so hardwired to negative thinking that we have the ability to have up to 60,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of those thoughts will be negative. So when I tell you that this power, this principality has power in your life, I need you to really get it. And so I want you to start thinking about the negative thoughts that you have towards your spouse. How often does that happen? How easy is it for you to think negatively about the person that you love? And prayerfully, the person that loves you back. That is not by happenstance. That is not just you. That is a very intended weapon formed against us. But the Bible tells me that it shall not prosper. So you have to remember that. But you got to be intentional. You have to be on guard. You have to be engaged in this war that's going on inside your mind. We can't sit idly by and wish for it to stop. We have to do what the word says and apply the word by taking every thought captive. Now, the scary thing could be is that there's so many thoughts, and there's always that struggle of trying to figure out what are my thoughts, what are God thoughts, and what are Satan thoughts. And I will encourage you to read the word so that you'll know. But here's the thing: like Satan is so crafty that the thoughts will come, and we cannot even challenge them. I will admit that this morning, early about 3 in the morning, I was having some really negative thoughts. Right, and the thoughts weren't even against my husband; they was against God. And it didn't occur to me until honestly I was scrolling, which I should not have been doing. I should have been praying. And I saw a video of a minister who said that Satan is crafty and that we all have these thoughts and we're all at war with our thoughts. And I'm like, oh, he got me again. He got me again. Those aren't my thoughts this morning that I would speak against God. Yes, we all have moments of doubt. There are times when we get tired and frustrated. But guys, we have to recognize that there is an enemy that comes for us in our mindset. And so if you can have up to 60 thoughts a day and they're already hardwired to negativity, what are you going to do to change that? Are you just going to surrender? Or are we going to do what the Bible tells us to do? God tells us constantly to set our mind, to renew our mind. And so this is what a vision will do. See, I've realized that there's always a vision in every marriage. It's either division or a vision that the couple has set down intentionally and created. And if you happen to be watching this and you're single, I want to know, like, is there internal division within you, or do you have a set vision for your life? You know, it's the new year and everybody's talking about vision boards and goals, setting goals for the year. I absolutely believe that setting goals is a great way to drive your life in a direction that you want it to go instead of letting it happen by happenstance. But I want you to be intentional if you're married to set a shared vision. I think it's important to have your individual visions and goals as well, right? Because there's certain things you have to do individually. Like your husband or your wife can't help you lose those 10 pounds. I mean, they can by not maybe tempting you with food, but ultimately you have to be committed to that process. So if that's a goal that needs to go on your individual vision board, I said go for it. But you can put like health and wealth on both your shared vision and come up with a plan together for what that is going to look like. But just make sure that in the marriage that your individual goals don't supersede your shared goals. Unless as a couple you've decided that, listen, I want you to focus on this so that you can grow that thing, right? So maybe there's some of you guys out there who have decided that 2025 is the year you're going to publish that first book. That's an individual goal. But if your partner has decided that, I'm gonna make sure by helping you do that, by set aside time and being there to support you, that's great. But what's a shared goal you guys might have? Maybe a shared goal is that you're going to do something different with your finances, or a shared goal could be you're going to decide today where you're going to travel this year. So I just want you to get into a place where you recognize that there is always a vision in your marriage. And if you don't set that vision, it often leads to division. And so we don't want to be in that space of being divided in our marriage, because division leads to bitterness, resentment, constant arguments, lack of communication. It produces for us in our marriage the things that we do not want. And I want you to have happy thriving marriages, especially in 2025. Listen, we get excited because it's a new year, but the year does not change us. We have to be intentional about the changes that we want to see and then do the things to become who we want to be. And so if you're struggling in your marriage in 2024, you can't hope, wish, and pray that it all changes in 2025 and think you're just going to have a magical marriage because it's a new year. There's work and strategies and tools that you can commit to doing that can absolutely shift your marriage. What's been wonderful and a blessing that I've been able to see is that there are marriages where couples have worked with me through my program, Think Your Way to a Better Marriage. And in 6 weeks, they see a difference in their marriage. And listen, I don't want you to think that your marriage have to be in trouble to do Think Your Way to a Better Marriage. I don't want you to think that, oh, well, our marriage is fine. We're good. You can always improve. Think about it this way. Every car that you have so many miles that it goes before you have to go get a tune-up. You got to get the oil change. They got to check all the spark plugs and all the other things that's under the hood that I don't necessarily know about. But I know that every so often my husband is like, I need you to take the car to a dealership. So why don't you take your marriage back to God, back to plan a day where you say, hey, let's talk about where we are in the marriage. Have we accomplished any goals? Do we have shared goals? Are we on the path and the trajectory that we want? Do we communicate effectively? Do we feel connected? Are you as in love with me today as you were yesterday? Because like I said, there's always a vision in marriage. It's either division or a vision. And if you're not even communicating about it, if you haven't sat down and all you do when you do sit down and talk is talk about the bills or the kids or the next thing to do, but you're not connected to one another, you put your marriage at risk. Not necessarily for divorce, right? Because there have been married couples that I've known who've been married for 20, 30, 40 years, but they're just married. No excitement, no passion. In fact, many of them act like they don't even like each other. They're just like content. Well, I married him all these years ago. Why not? What I am saying is, why not allow your marriage to be this thing that you can be excited about? So if you don't want to do the class, I encourage you to get the book. Like a lot of people get this little book. When I say it's little, guys. It gets this little book and they see results in their marriage. And I know because it hit me up and I'm very grateful for those who do. So yesterday we did a vision class and one of the couples on the class had the book. And the husband of all people was so excited to tell people, hey, you got to get the book. And so either get the book or join the class, but do something in 2025 different for your marriage to make sure, just like you take that car and get service your marriage. Don't just live by happenstance. Be intentional, set goals, set visions, and recognize that there is an enemy that wants to destroy your marriage. And he will use your mind against your spouse to do it. So I want to say Happy New Year and thank you so much for watching. Will you do me a favor? Will you like, share, subscribe, and tell people about my channel? So thank you so much for taking time to watch. Hit me up. If you want to get the book, I encourage you to order it from my website, not Amazon. You can, and I appreciate those orders. But remember, everything I sell, my books, my children books, and my marriage book, you can get it through me personally. You don't have to go to Amazon to do it.